Welcome to PHP Podcast. I'm Mike.
And this is Orlando, and it's time for another Monday mini-sode.
Yeah, Monday Mini. This is where we bring you the freshest, most compact information. Well, compared to our hour 15 plus episodes, where we talk about a lot of things, we are condensing a lot of information down into a nice, manageable, bite-sized portion. Maybe we should call it bite-sized Mondays. But anyways, we're bringing it on
your bite.
Yeah, I guess so. But we're bringing it down, and today we're going to be talking about something really good. So we've talked recently about things you should do at garage sales. In fact, a lot of what we talk about, tips throughout our episodes, have to do with things that you should or shouldn't do at garage sales. But today we're going to be specifically focusing on what not to do at garage sales in order to make sure you're making the most profit, most money in your pocket. Yeah.
And the very first one, and it's common sense, it's don't go without planning. It's just, you're just causing yourself to lose a bunch of time. You might get lucky. You might go and drive and you see the little arrows posted on, the telephone. Are there telephone poles anymore?
Yeah.
The power line poles or whatever you call it. So crazy. I feel so old. And you show up at a garage sale and you might hit the honey hole of honey holes, but chances are very likely that's not going to be the case.
Yeah. So I feel like this is the second episode back to back where I've had quote of the week. It's been a long time, man. I maybe I need to bring those
of you that have been listening since episode 1, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah, quote of the week. But the old adage, I'm sure there's somebody specifically who said it, but failing to plan is planning to fail, right?
Oh my goodness, yes.
And that's basically what we're talking about here. And so we have several episodes where we talk about the best apps to use, the best programs to use, how to map out your route, how to plan your day when you're first starting out to make sure you're hitting the maybe the earliest ones first, or the ones that have the items you're looking for, how to do keyword searches. But either way, I know when I first started, and if you're just kind of trying to get the feel for things, there's nothing wrong with just driving around and you see an estate sale or garage sale and you stop. But there's a lot that goes into planning, not just planning out the route, but making sure you've got money, making sure, little things like now I keep batteries with me.
Or you have dollar bills on you, right? So you're not wasting time waiting for change.
Having the right, currency and not just, that sounds like foreign currency, but you have the right breakdown of bills, that you've got the ones, you've got the fives.
Talk about batteries real quick. Why do you say batteries?
So there's been times where, I see a Walkman and, there's, if it's 50 cents for a Walkman, I'll pick it up no matter what.
I need to test it.
But there's times where it's they want $10 for this. And if this is a good working Walkman, this thing might sell for,
50 or
$60, $70. So maybe it's worthwhile, but I need to know it works. So when you ask them, hey, does this work?
Or calculators too.
The calculators, there's a lot of different things. So even those kinds of things, even I bring a battery pack that I plug my phone into, because I know you can use your car charger, but there's times where, I'm going to be hitting up a thrift store and I'm going to be in a thrift store for a while. And then I'm going to go to, some church rummage sales, and it might be a couple hours and I'm looking things up and my phone is old. I'm pretty thrifty, so I don't buy new phones all the time. And so, spending an hour on eBay looking up comps, the battery starts to die. So just having, in my backpack, I usually have a backpack on me, having a little cord that I can plug into if I need to. So that way I'm not losing power when I'm trying to look up a sale.
Or getting gas the night before, right? It's the worst. I've had it before where I plan my route, I have my bills, I have everything I need, but I forget to get gas. And so I go 3 houses in and I need to stop at the gas station. And there's a golden hour, right? And usually it's, for us here in San Diego, it's about, I would say it's 6:45 to 8:45, maybe 7. I don't know what it is, but it's at least 7 to 8. Yep. Okay. Because the reason I say I don't know what it is, because my scores lately have been at 6:05.
Yeah.
Right. Super early. But you want to be able to just keep moving and keep moving and keep moving. All right. Before we keep moving though to the next segments, if you haven't yet supported us on Patreon, appreciate all of you that have jumped on over from Buy Me a Coffee. All you have to do is just say, hey, thank you so much, guys. We want to, help you out and sign up for a tier. Go to patreon.com/PHP helps the podcast keep going. We do not have a paywall. All our content is free. All we ask is that the community, supports us and allows us to maybe even create more content. So go to patreon.com/PHP. Yeah. All right. This one. So I'm just going to share a story, and this is why you shouldn't do this. So the other day, I'm at a garage sale and I see these sirens, like on cop cars, old siren. And I look at them and I'm like, this is interesting. And I forget if they're, I wish I knew the brand, but there's something in Kraus or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I was like, oh, these are kind of cool. And they looked like they were money, but I put them down and I'm like, no one's going to pick this up.
Mm-hmm.
I go to the corner, I start looking it up. Why I didn't keep those in my hands, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Sure enough, within seconds, another guy shows up. Hey, how much do you want for these? The guy's like, oh, I'll do 2 for $7. He's like, all right, gone. As I'm looking the comps, they sell for $200 to $300.
Yep. Yeah. You got to be careful. And you got to be careful of that too, because one of the other things is you don't want to be overly interested in an item. But yeah, it's not a bad idea to pick up an item, stand right by it, pick up another item, or walk around with a few items in your hand, not just the item you're interested in. Pick up the item you're interested in, plus a random cup, plus something else. That way it's like they don't know what it is.
You're not giving too much.
Right. But you don't want to leave the items alone. That's a great point.
Well, real quick. So I got to tell you how many times this happened actually the same last garage sale where somebody is next to an item and I see it and it's a good item. Their hand's not on it. They're not looking at it. And I'll pick it up and they're like, hey, I was looking at that. And I don't respond. I just look at them and I just walk away. I don't know if that's a jerk move, but if your hand's not on it, if you're not researching it, you're not looking at it, sometimes, this happens to everyone. Just because somebody else grabs it, you're like, oh, I want that. Right. And so,
that's
I don't know. Was that a jerk move?
A little bit, because there's times where I like start to put together a pile. You ask how much
but they weren't even looking up. I was just sitting on the shelf.
Yeah, maybe.
Hey, before you think about if that was a jerk move, make sure to smash that like button.
Yeah, smash the like button first. Okay, so yeah, fair enough. If it's not in a pile, but if it's like on the ground next to some other stuff, yeah, and someone's like, "Oh, that's my pile," or "That's my stuff,"
let us know in the comments. Was that a jerk move?
Yeah, but if it's just on a table and they're not standing near it, yeah, they can't be like, "Hey, I had my eyes on that." Yeah, so I guess it just depends on the situation. You were probably okay. I wasn't there.
But make sure you don't leave things behind if you're considering it, because it could be gone within a second.
Yep, that's true. The next one, this is a big one. Never accept the first price they give, or at least immediately accept it. And you might have no choice but to accept it if it's a good offer. But if they give you the first price, and we talk a lot about not giving the first price, don't say, hey, I'll give you $10 for this. I did that a few times when I first started out. Would you take $10 for this book set? And they're like, sure. As far as I know, they might have been selling it for $5, so let them give you a price and then you negotiate from there, because they're giving you, hopefully, if they know anything about negotiating, a price higher than they're willing to take. And so you can then anchor a lower price. If they say, I was hoping to get 10, you can be like, oh, how about 5? You might end up getting it for $6 or $7, or maybe for the 5. They might say, sure. And it might not sound like a lot. And a lot of people, when they listen to us, say things like, oh, it sounds like you guys are like bargaining too hard. Why don't you just give them the extra?
Well, it's because there are other YouTubers that just go for the first price. Yeah. They don't even haggle.
Yeah.
But explain to why you should.
Yeah. So you should definitely haggle, because when it comes down to it, you make money when it sells. You realize your profits when it sells. But the ROI is going to be determined partially in part by how much you pay for it, right? If you pay $5 for something and you sell it for $50 versus you pay $10 for something, you sell it for $50, that's a big difference in your ROI. And when you're buying hundreds of items over the course of the year, if you're talking about, even if it's just $1 difference on every item, you're talking hundreds of dollars difference.
Which you would use to buy other items.
Right. And again, you cannot judge, because that's the thing. You can look at a big YouTuber who's got 500,000 subscribers or 100,000 subscribers, and they just take the initial price. They throw big numbers out there, but they're making $500 to $1,000 per episode or per video that they put up. So they're not even really worried so much about the items they're picking up. They make a lot of their money off their videos. I'm not saying all of them, but many of them do. So you can't judge the seller whose livelihood depends on how much profit they can make compared to the person who's actually making their livelihood from the YouTube video. So there's definitely a difference there.
All right. Also, I see this all the time, and there's good and bad, but some people are very narrow in their view, right? And what I mean by that is they'll show up. It's kind of those of you that caught our YouTube video where the guy just was looking for video games, right? And he missed out on tons of profits. And this actually has happened to me, where I'm a big clothing seller. So a lot of the times I'm just looking for clothing, or I'm looking for shoes. I do look for video games and collectibles here and there. But, the early days, if you catch even episode 1, right, I had this narrow view, and Mike, who was a brand new reseller, was curious about what was there. And he ended up with higher profits at some of the garage sales than I did, just because I skipped over a lot, because all I cared about was the certain things I was looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you were definitely looking, you were scanning fast. And I think there's definitely a benefit to that. And that leads us to our next point is you don't want to take too much time. There's kind of a sweet spot because you can go to the one ditch of you run up and you say, Legos? Nope. And then you get in your car and you leave.
Mm-hmm.
Or you just quickly look and you're like, I don't see any profit. And you go, but you don't even look to like lift one thing out of a box to see what's underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times it's boxes of stuff. So that's one ditch you can fall into. The other ditch you can fall into is you open up a box and you're like, this box looks like mostly junk. I'm going to research every single thing in this box and then I'm going to move to the next box. Now you might get lucky. I mean, who knows? Maybe we missed the holy grail item that's worth, $100,000 because we don't do that. But the reality is it's a numbers game. And so and there's a lot involved in it too. You get to a garage sale and a lot of times I like to pick up something that I might be interested in, ask a price just because it lets me an idea of what kind of pricing this garage sale is at. Because you can spend a lot of time in a garage sale and then come to realize like they're way overpriced. And you spent way too much time putting together a pile of stuff. So sometimes it's worthwhile for me to just find like a medium item, say, hey, how much do you want for this? And they're like $10. And they're like, oh, and then you do the quiet thing and they might talk you down. But then I know, okay, like there's either one, room for negotiation here, or two, they're reasonably priced. But if you spend too much time at a garage sale, you're missing the numbers game aspect of there's a garage sale down the street and then there's another one and there's another one. And by the time you move to your second garage sale, all the good stuff's gone. You're
100%.
Missing that golden
You
hour.
might be looking for comps over and over again. If the prices are cheap, sometimes it's just best just to risk it. I mean, if it's less than $1 or less than $5, just go with it, right? If you know it's something you sold before, go with it. I want to add a quick one real quick. Don't ignore the sellers. Okay. You have no idea how much money you are saving by just saying, good morning. How are you doing? How's the morning been? Because you develop that
cold
relationship
out here today.
Yeah,
just see you got your coffee. I missed mine this morning. Little things like that make a big difference.
Yeah, because then it gives you that negotiation power when you enter. Like, hey, I want to make things work out for this guy. This guy's a nice guy. I want, let's make a deal. And I'm telling you, it separates you because I have so many opportunities when I'm out there just because of that. Because I see other resellers come in, they don't say hi, they don't say anything, and they'll just quickly make the deal and they leave. And then I'll go in and I'll be smiling and I'll talk. And man, I'm like in my head, like that dude, like way overpaid for his stuff. All he had to do was say hi. That's all he had to do. So hopefully these tips help you of what not to do at garage sales, but help you to instead be profitable. And with that being said, make sure to be real,
Be relevant,
and be reselling. Late.
Peace.